What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode, what is this, 51 of Coffee with Den. This is the show where I take advice from my coffee mug that says, if you don't have anything nice to say it in German. So there's the advice segment of the day. For more advice, we've got our friends T Swift or Die and I Am joining us. Good morning, sir and sir. How you doing?
Good morning.
Yo, what's up?
So I had to make my own coffee this morning. I'm home alone for a week, so it's just me. I don't have any servants.
I wanted to say that was one of like the better intros I think you've done. I like that one a lot. It was pretty good, man. Like you had the whole twist on like Germans not having a sense of humor, but then the Germans are telling like the joke here, and then there's like the nice segue with advice. And then,
man.
And then I feel
it's
like
all packaged up in like less than a minute. Just get it out there, get it done. Doesn't need to be drawn out. I agree.
It felt like it was written.
Yeah, like it was written on the cup.
Teleprompter.
It was written on the cup.
Well, no, the whole thing, the segue, the transition. You had like a nice pacing to your voice too, where you didn't rush through it. Like you took your time, and
I didn't.
And like, ooh, what's he gonna say? And
what's it gonna be? Let me lay something on you.
It's always so much better when you explain everything that just happened. Also,
nothing improves a joke, but like explaining it for a longer period of time than it took to tell the joke.
That's my life right there. I'm trying to explain my life to everybody, but it's a joke and nobody gets it.
You know what's funny is John's spot on about the I make fun of German humor all the time. Because they do have a sense of humor. It's just very different. It's not an American sense of humor. And my wife was filling out, like I have to explain jokes all the time because of this. My wife's German. And she was filling out a survey for work recently. And so whoever wrote the survey decided like, okay, nobody likes work surveys. We'll make it cute, right? So they introduced humor or attempted to. But it was like based on American slang or phrases that she wasn't familiar with, and she is like, well, what does a diamond in the rough mean? Am I a diamond in the rough? And I was like, I don't know, what's the context? It was all these like specific things. Anyway, I thought it was unfair to non-Native Americans to make your employees take a survey about their professional opinions on things if it's written in a way that only Americans are going to understand how it's written.
I like the way that you threw Native Americans in there, but meant it in a different way than Native Americans. We're not helping the indigenous people of this country. Like
context matters.
Wait, no, Native Americans doesn't. People who have been in America for like the past, I don't know, 20 years.
Native raised, native born, modern natives, not, I guess not the rightful natives.
Just up with the lingo. So non-Native American,
non-Native, but born here Americans. Yeah. How do you? What's the proper way to even identify?
White people?
I don't even know how to talk about stuff anymore, right? Like what words do we use to describe things? Because everything I learned as a kid is a lie, apparently.
Yeah, I can relate to the German thing because my dad was German, grew up in a very harsh, conservative German household, and my mom was half German, so I can relate. Okay. I can definitely relate.
It's wild. Just one of the things that's always fascinated me is just people and where they're from and what their life experience is. That's one of the reasons I like being involved with Den so much, is because there's people that are wildly different from all different parts of the world, kind of just communicating and figuring this thing out together. And so her family is East German, and like it's interesting to learn about what life was like in, what is it like? Was it like, so what do they call it? Soviet controlled Germany?
Soviet,
just East Germany, pre-wall coming down kind of thing.
Yes.
And
so they're in the Eastern Bloc.
East
Germany. Okay.
Yeah. So whenever I was growing up and I was going through high school in small town USA, we had a certain version of like how we learned about things, and it was always framed as this sort of fantastical faraway land that's in the past that like you'll never meet anybody that has any personal reference to. We just never thought that that was something that was close enough to our modern reality that we would experience. And now I realize like so much of this stuff I learned was just like at most like 2 or 3 grandmas ago, as far as like lifespan, you know. And sometimes when I think about how recent the US has existed, you know, how young it is versus how old some places in Europe are. I don't know. Fascinates me. People fascinate me. Lifestyles, experiences, different priorities and things. Speaking of different priorities, how about them elections?
That's not a priority.
I haven't watched, like, I don't know anything at all. I woke up and my wife goes, the Democrat won in New York. And I go, great. And then that's the only result I know.
Yeah, I've looked at some of them. I'm in Florida, so I think both, DeSantis had a landslide here, and Rubio won as well. I think with Rubio, like at least he's got the UFO vote, right? I don't know if any of you follow like which people in U.S. government are comfortable openly talking about the possibility of UFOs.
Pro-alien?
Yeah, he's pro-alien. He's not. I don't know if he's pro-alien. I don't know if that's the right. Depending on what kind of alien it is.
He's anti-alien, but believes in them. Like,
yeah. Well, if the alien is from Earth, he's against it. But if they're from outer space, like he's down with the outer space aliens. They got to come from further away.
Oh, really? Is he like, I want to be friends with them? Because I feel like he's like, I bet they're real. And as soon as we see him, we're gonna shoot him out of the sky.
It's more, yeah, you're right. It's the latter. It's no, he was talking about so there's a bunch of buzzings, UFOs buzzing military bases and stuff. And what's bizarre to me is like you've got the Pentagon saying, yeah, that's real. We don't know what it is. And you've got a few, you know, like people in office and in government saying, like, yeah, that's weird. What is that? We should figure it out. And everybody else is like, it's probably nothing. You know, like regular people included, not just people in government. I thought it would be a bigger deal to me. Like once the U.S. government stopped pretending that it was not a real thing, and they came out and said, oh, actually, yeah, that's totally real. We don't think it's the Russians. We don't think it's the Chinese. I don't know.
So I got a good one for you. So the Houston Astros won the World Series. So in Houston, the kids didn't go to school that day to celebrate. And then, you know, our son doesn't go to high school yesterday. He didn't go to school because it's closed because of Election Day. Because, you know, a lot of the schools are used for polling places.
Oh, yeah. I guess so.
So I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute. So we're putting sports up here and we're putting politicians up here, but we're putting education way down here.
Mm-hmm. I guess so. Mine was in a church is where my polling place was yesterday. I have two spots. One of them is a church and one of them might be a middle school, depending on what the election is.
Yeah, there's that big ass church that you can vote at, I think for us. But I don't know, like I think so like in Florida, like we're pretty used to just getting random days off for hurricanes. Like apparently there was like a tropical storm and they closed like part of the government last week. Like I don't know. So like missing a day or two here is not like killing a kid's education. I do think it's funny that you can just give days off for sports though.
Yeah. So my teenage
that's
son,
not a yeah.
Yeah. So he says, I think that we need to have more elections. So
more of them
off of school.
Yeah, more. Yeah. If I get off of school, that's fine. But you know, that's like for like a year and a half I moved to Ohio when I was a kid. I was stoked about snow days. You know, like in a super selfish way. Like my dad worked outside. You know, he had a concrete company. He's pouring concrete and stuff. And so like he's out working in the slush and the snow and the cold and the wet, and it's terrible because he's got to make money to feed us and keep a roof over our heads. But I was like, fuck yeah, snow day. I love it here.
I know. And see, for me as a kid, when the first day of deer season meant there was no school that day.
Really?
So,
that was a thing, huh?
Yeah.
Were you in South Carolina?
In, northern Arizona.
They got deer there? I thought it was like I thought it was just like lettuce and desert.
No. Flagstaff is mountains and snow, 7,000 foot altitude.
Oh, I'm thinking of like Yuma, I guess, area.
Yeah. So I mean, the school system is basically said, well, nobody's showing up, so we might as well keep close. But back in the day, that's how.
So it was a practical thing.
Yeah, it was back in the day. That's how it was. It was like harvest season. Harvest. Well, we got to harvest. All the kids got to help work out in the fields and do the harvest before.
Yes.
Is that
deer? Yes, deer hunting and harvest season is the same thing.
Yes. That's what I was thinking. It's like you have to rush out there before anybody else does, so that you can get all the deer before they're dead for the season. Is that what it is? Before the deer realize, like, oh shit, it's daylight savings time. I didn't set my clock back. The hunters are here. Before they get wise to it, you gotta rush out there and get it.
Bambi, if you see something bright orange, run. Bright orange, run, Bambi, run.
But it's so pretty. I wore a bright orange. I wore one of those safety orange shirts to school one time when I was in high school because I thought it was funny. And it was funny for like an hour. But then I had to go through the entire day wearing this safety orange shirt. It was long sleeve, button down, safety orange. It wore itself out pretty quickly.
So is time a construct, a social construct?
I don't know. I was just reading
a space time as an actual physical item, like
what the fuck? How did we get here?
Oh, it's the two. So I come up with sort of. Oh, that's Prince or the artist. I was just reading about this in the comments where you wrote about what time is and stuff. So if you hadn't guessed, the topics are sort of arbitrary and whatever I'm thinking of when I decide to put the post up. So today's two topics were, what did I say? Elections and time. Because daylight savings times, half of my clocks are still wrong. Anything that doesn't change automatically is just wrong. And I'm lazy enough to I'll remember that for like a week. I'll just be like, yeah, it's an hour off instead of just changing it. And the elections, yeah. But time is a pain in the ass is what it is. Like, why do we don't have different months depending on what hemisphere you're in, right? Juicy J recommended decentralizing time, do Den time. Joe talks about going to UTC permanently, like put everybody on UTC.
I think that's a brilliant idea.
I think that's fine.
The world is uniform.
Yeah, like, so people in New Zealand don't seem to mind having snow in winter in July, right?
Right.
We don't change what month it is because, like, oh no, it's snowing there. No, we're going to call it January if you're in the southern hemisphere, and we're going to call it July if you're in Florida. We don't do it for months. So I think that's just because of how fast things are today. Like, we didn't used to have the ability to talk to someone across the world in real time on a telephone, for example. The speed of information.
Yeah.
Time is a measurement of distance, says Hyperion frequency. But it's often confused with motion.
Yes.
Yeah, if something's like so many light years away, the year is a measurement of time, which is a measurement of distance.
I always like Hyperion frequencies. Man, what a brilliant mind.
Dude's got a brain and he uses it. I can
it.
appreciate that. Like, what's not to like? You know who else I didn't think I liked, but I decided I kind of, and I don't think I still like him actually. is Hyperion? No, not Hyperion frequency. I was watching an interview. You ever watch Lex Friedman?
Yes, I listen to his podcast all the time.
Yeah, or listen. I guess listen to is a better is a better question. I was watching it on YouTube, which is boring because he already has this. So, welcome to the Lex Friedman Show. I'm going to add a bunch of unnecessary space between all the things that I say, and I'm very comfortable sitting in silence for long periods of time. I don't mind, and I'm just going to let the guests talk, let them have their words. And occasionally I'll change the direction of the conversation or maybe expand on what they're saying. Like that's the whole show.
No, dude. There's a fix for that.
Yeah.
You put it at 2-speed. And you listen to him at 2-speed. And there you go. Then it's whatever you just said is like, and I'm going to put a little gap here and there, and I'm going to tell you all about this, and we're going to talk about a little bit, and it's great. So then a 2-hour podcast is 1 hour.
Yeah, that's true.
And you were able to swallow all of that information in 1 hour rather than 2.
I do appreciate that the dude gives everybody like a chance to say their piece.
Yes.
Like, I didn't watch his Kanye interview. I don't know if I will.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm interested really.
I only watched snippets of that one.
Yeah. But it's interesting. Like he's interested in people in sort of a way that I am, I think, from what he said. Tends to think that people
Do you know much about him?
No. Okay. Just the podcast. No,
he's
I don't know.
Hardcore programmer.
Okay.
He also is a black belt. He did an amazing black belt speech, by the way.
Interesting. I didn't know that he fights, or that he knew that he doesn't look like I wouldn't take him. I take him as an intellectual more than somebody who's physically
super
involved.
Fit. He super fit.
He looks like he'd make a great Russian spy. Like he's super fit, shaved head, knows like just random things about shit. This is purely based off of a Google image search.
Yeah.
I didn't look at the articles. I just looked at different pictures of him. It looks like he's just slowly infiltrating like the crazy people of the United States, like Joe Rogan and Kanye.
Yeah, like a purely visual first impression. I can see that. Yep. Yeah.
He's worked on autonomous vehicle, self-driving vehicles, and a lot. He's really into AI and
interesting
programming for robotics. He's got an amazing brain, amazing mind. The other thing too is, his family is from Russia, Ukraine, so he can really identify to that. He speaks Russian, so I have a tremendous respect for him, having, I guess, kind of gotten to know him on the not me personally, but what he's put out there, I've
through
seen
his conversations and stuff.
Yeah, on the soft side, of him, like kind of the day in life of Lex Friedman. But, you're absolutely right, though. He gives everybody their chance to say and his prep for questions is really good.
Yeah, he's got a good. You can tell he researches whoever he's talking to enough to have a meaningful conversation with him.
You just got to be careful not to say his sleeper phrase, or else he'll be activated.
Yeah, that's the challenge, isn't it? I'm trying to look. I don't know who.
I love how that's what I can contribute to this show. Nothing about him or anything else.
No, that's what we do, right? You're walking down you ever just people watch and you make up stories about people. You don't know anything about them, but you just make assumptions and make up stories about them. Oh, here it is. I was trying to think the name of the person who he was interviewing that I was listening to. It was Ben Shapiro.
Oh,
and
I haven't listened to that one.
And I was impressed. I disagree with Ben Shapiro on a lot of things, but what I discovered through Lex Friedman's interview with him, which I think is pretty recently. It looks like it was, when did he do this?
Yeah,
nope,
I think it's like,
I don't want to add. It was yesterday. It was a day ago. So, saw hot off the press, and the dude, the things that we disagree about are it seems like they're based in like religious ideology.
Yes.
Which I can't necessarily knock that. Like dude's very religious. Dude's serious about it. So like when I hear him talking about things that I don't agree with, like for example, his stance on abortion and conception being the starting point for that ban and things like that, it doesn't jive with me necessarily, but I can see where, with himself trying to have some integrity with his own religious foundation, that would be his stance. And it's like, I don't like, I think you're wrong about some stuff, but I can see where you're coming from. At least there's some sort of logic to it,
Did you know he's an amazing violinist?
Ben Shapiro?
Yes.
No, he said he reads 3 to 5 books a week, which I think is insane though. Like
he reads a lot of children's books, first of all, so don't let that.
Yeah, C-Spot Run.
Most of them are like the pop-up ones that scare him every time they come up. He's like, "Ah, what the hell is this? We read this book last week, Benny. We know what's coming." And then also,
I just lost my coffee.
I was actually having this talk with somebody. Not this talk, but it was like it was this online forum like class I was taking. So it was a class that was online and you use like a forum to like have discussions. And somebody was talking about how growing up in a like stricter religious society, how they like had no choice. Like they weren't exposed to anything else. So therefore they were never able to learn other points of view and stuff like that. I'm like, I hear what you're saying, but you're wrong. Because there's in every single one of those groups, there's the rebel child. There's the person out there going, "Hey, this isn't right. Hey, that's not cool. We should do something different." And then it's there. Like there's no way in a society that person doesn't exist. It just happens.
Mm-hmm.
So you just ignored it. It wasn't like you weren't ever exposed to it. You just didn't want to see it. So like, I don't know. I stopped letting people use religion as like an excuse to do dumb things or shitty things, because like at a certain point you become an adult or you become a person that can think and you go, this is what I feel is right to do and this is what's happening. Does my religion line up?
No, I agree with you on that actually. Yeah, I didn't mean to say that people should use religion as a gateway to atrocity, for example. You know what I mean? Like I don't think like even if it's your religion or not, like you shouldn't like mutilate people's genitalia as an infant or something. Right. Something like that. Well, which both the Middle East and the West does. So, there's things that I guess what I'm trying to say is I can at least see why they have the opinion that they have, which to me, at least personally, will allow me to at least have a little bit more respect for your opinion than somebody who has no fucking logic at all. And they're just saying whatever's popular because their friends think so, kind of thing. I don't know. Have a reason for it.
I have equal amount of, I don't think, I don't know. I feel like sometimes I'm a little too binary in my like decisions. It's either like a 1 or a 0. And I'm like, there's no like good way to be bad. No. You know what I mean? So like, and I think this is purely just like a personal thing. So I'm not like attacking or whatever, but like, if you have a reason for like your thought and it's religion or whatever it is, or a dumb idea, then like you should be able to examine that so much easier than somebody who's just throwing out crazy conspiracy things or jumping to things that are baseless, because those people are nuts. Like if you don't have a reasoning, then you're just like what's his fucking Alex Jones or whatever, like and shit like that. Like that's nuts.
Well, that's sensationalism. That's sensationalism to get views. It's nothing different, nothing new. It's like Howard Hughes. What was it? Hearst. Howard Hearst. What? No, I'm thinking Howard Hughes.
Howard Stern.
Randolph Hearst from way back when he was the first media mogul. when he got radio and movies and print media, he was the first massive media mogul, and it was all about sensationalism. But to change the subject real quick, another intellectual that I just discovered this past weekend that I was like, wow, she's an amazing researcher. She lives in the Andes in South Chile, but her name is Whitney Webb, and she researched like everything leading up to Epstein's when he suicided himself.
Mm-hmm.
And she did a podcast on what's the name? Glenn Beck. Now, before you go,
I was just thinking about Glenn Beck whenever we were talking about Alex Jones.
Yeah,
because I see some like similarities there.
Yeah, but he also has a podcast, and he brings people in from various points of view. Like he's had Tim Pool on there. He's had some people to the left and people to the far right on there. But anyway, this I don't even know, and they didn't even discuss her personal politics. But an amazing woman, in such an amazing podcast. Whitney Webb is her name. And
yeah, so that's this person here.
Yeah, that's her.
Okay.
She has written some different pieces and that kind of thing, and a book leading up to the Epstein thing. But it's just I don't, and you know what, listening to her, I don't know what her political stance is. I can just say that she's one of those people that talks very factual. I'm not going to go there. I don't know the facts on that. There's too much speculation. I'm not going to talk about that. Just the opposite.
Well, that sounds refreshing.
Just the opposite of, say, Alex Jones. Oh, we got frogs are turning gay.
Yeah, obviously, if you have any brains at all, this means that the frogs are turning gay because of the water, and then that's the same water that you drink. So you're going to be gay, and we're all going to be gay, and that's my biggest fear in life. So I'm going to make a show about it.
So I highly recommend. It's like an hour-long podcast, hour and 20-minute podcast on this Whitney Webb.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I'll keep that bookmark.
I actually had to listen to it twice because I was so dumbfounded. I was like, what? Our government did what? And here's the evidence. What?
Yeah, it still blows my mind that speaking of, you said she did some work on the story with Epstein.
Yeah.
Epstein.
1,000 pages or something like that.
And like, I can't, every time I think about this, I get a little angry inside. But the what do they even call it? It was some like stale naming convention. The non-prosecution agreement with Epstein and all of anybody, like,
well, it's because
like not just because not just for him. So if anybody like happens to be listening to this and doesn't know, Epstein got into a bunch of trouble for some things that are atrocious, and the U.S. government gave not only him a non-prosecution deal saying that we're not going to prosecute you for any of your crimes, but that extended to anybody who he's worked with, either named or unnamed at the time of handing down that non-prosecution. So it's like a completely like, nope, you and everybody else you've been working with and all of the clients and all of the people that have been raping underage girls for years, and everybody gets like a free pass. Yeah. Even people we don't know about. We just don't want to know about it,
Hey guys, I gotta take the high schooler to school.
Yeah. So on that happy note, take your high schooler to school, man.
I'll be listening in the car.
Yeah. Yeah. No problem. See you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you all.
Oh, that means his high schooler.
Yeah, it's like it's so weird to me that even happened, and that's like, something that just can't be undone now.
Yeah.
So well, man. So the person who brought the thing up I was talking about left. So what are you up to?
Well, I think I can still talk about things. No, I didn't bring it up, but I do think it's funny that he's going to be listening with his high schooler in the car.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, his high schooler is going to be listening.
Yeah.
So I could just drop like really bad advice for high schoolers and being like, look, always question your teachers. They actually love it.
We've been there before. We've been through high school. We know a thing or two. Let's lay down some advice. You know, you don't always have to do your homework at the end of the day when you get home. Sometimes you got some time before class. You can just crank it out.
Yeah, it usually like honestly, homework usually takes less time than you think it does. What
It always, yes, less time. It is. It takes
it's
less time than you think. Whatever you're thinking in your head, it's not going to take that long. So
it's
you
usually
push it.
about half. About half, I think it's fair. Half.
Yeah, and you know what? Worst case, if you ever in a rush and you it's taking more time than you thought it would, just get it halfway done, right?
Yeah.
It's better to just take the C than a 0. You know, don't be
Well,
like,
it's
oh,
gonna-
I don't have time to do this. Just do some bullshit. Turn that in. You at least don't get a 0. You get some kind of score. Helps your average.
Yeah, or just find a friend, you know,
Yeah.
and use theirs. I think that's fine.
Yeah, especially if they were like, last year or something. The teachers reuse the same coursework. Like they don't reinvent their class every year, So just go to somebody who's a year ahead of you and be like, yo, you still got your homework from last year? I'll, buy it from you with my dad's money. That's all the advice I've got for high school, I think.
That's pretty good advice.
Were you a good student? Were you a good student in high school, John?
Academically,
I feel like you were. Academically, I feel like you were.
Academically, I was like, I got like B's.
Yeah.
I didn't care enough to get A's. I'm like, this is like, there's so many other things I'd rather be doing. And I was like, I also only went to like 2 years of high school because I
You were that
enrolled.
good? It just took you 2 years.
I dual enrolled junior and senior year.
Okay.
So like, I didn't have the patience for it. I'm like, this is like a dumb way to teach this. But on the other hand, it was the right way to teach it because they have to teach fucking 30 kids or whatever it is, like 20 something kids. Like, okay, I get it. But I'm like, this is also the dumb way to teach this, like a giant waste of my fucking time.
I used to get in trouble for the stupidest shit when I was in high school. Like, I got accused one time of trying to make drugs, like as a manufacturer of like meth or something. I don't even know what.
Were you trying to make drugs?
No. So what had happened was I had poor grades. I had like B's and C's, the occasional D. I stayed away from the F's. Occasionally I'd have an A or 2, but it was kind of a roller coaster of grades. There was no method to it. It just happened to be whatever it was. As long as I wasn't failing, I was fine. But I was also highly interested in like science and chemistry and biology and, things like that. And so I guess a combination of poor academic performance and a heavy interest in finding out where I could get chemistry supplies from, because I was asking my chemistry teacher, like, oh, where do you get all this stuff? Is there a magazine or a something you can order it from? And can I get some, what if I wanted to set up a lab at home just for experimentation? Like I legitimately would go to like a creek and a river and a lake and the ocean and take water samples and then go to class. I had a biology teacher that would let me come in and use the microscopes and stuff after class. And I'd bring my samples in and put them on slides and be like, oh, what kind of organism lives here? What kind of organism lives there? I was really into science, legit. So they called a parent-teacher conference in the guidance counselor's office or whatever. And they set up like a whole, I guess you would call it intervention or something, where they were going to confront me, So they brought my parents there. They brought.
I don't think that's an intervention. I don't think that's an intervention. I think that's just called a surprise attack.
A surprise attack. Yeah.
It doesn't sound like an intervention. Like,
well, it was a surprise attack for me, man, because they were like, they were basically like, so why don't you let us know the real reason you were like they had gotten together already and traded notes on me as a student.
Okay.
And the conclusion that they came up with was that I must be selling drugs and making them at home. And so they were going to sit me down and talk to me. So like, why don't you tell us the real reason you wanted a chemistry set? And I was like, fucking what? They're like, yeah, why are you so interested in chemistry? You're obviously not doing very good in class, so you don't obviously have an interest in it. And I was like, no, I just don't do my homework. I do fine in class. Like I actually did fine in class. And that's the only reason I passed high school. It's because when I was there, I would do the thing and I would catch up with my homework that I didn't do the night before or whatever. But I thought it was a scam to have to go home and still be at school. So I just didn't do it. But anyway, yeah, that happened, and they didn't get anything out of me. I didn't break. They didn't break me and make me admit that I did anything. But that's the kind of shit I used to get in trouble for, you know?
I love how like their instinct, oh, they have an interest in science. Their instinct is must be drugs.
Must be drugs. Must be. It has to be drugs.
I feel like that's some shit from like a sitcom. You know, it's like, wait, hold on, really? Like, if we look back at this, is this really the conclusion we're going to run into? I don't know. Was your science teacher there?
Yeah, yep. Miss Bundy was there, the chemistry teacher. Thanks,
so
Bundy.
That's what I don't get.
And my English teacher, because I had told my English teacher that I was trying to turn over a new leaf because I wanted to do better in school, right? And so I guess that translated as I was
you're trying to smoke the leaf.
I was turning over a new leaf. That must have meant like I was in a bad place and I don't know, it meant something other than what I said. Hyperion Frequency asks, was this the 90s? It was the early 2000s. I graduated, I was a senior. When did I go? I joined the Navy in 2000 when I was 16. Let's see. No, I graduated 2003. This would have been 2002 or 1, I guess, 1 or 2. So right after Y2K didn't happen is when this was.
So we also have to remember that you lived out in like small town USA, like the tiny boondocks.
Oh, there's a huge mess problem. Yeah,
well,
that's true.
Well, like one, I was going to say that. And then two, like those towns are always like 5 to 10 years behind the rest of the world. So like there's, in like the early 2000s, like there was less of a push with like DARE program and shit. But out there, it's still like, don't do drugs because you'll get AIDS or something. Like,
dude, it was like, so the drugs thing was like that, DARE, to keep kids off drugs, you know?
Yeah.
I learned so much about drugs. And of course, this is the trope and the joke that everybody says, but it's true too. Because like, you'd have cops come in and talk about all these different drugs that I had never known about. I remember I was in freaking 3rd grade or something, the first time that there was a DARE officer that came in. I didn't know what drugs were. Like I knew what drugs were, but I didn't know what cocaine was, you know, that kind of thing. And sometimes they'd have like samples of it, like from evidence or something, just so if you see this, you know what it is and you stay away from it. And I was always like, oh, nice. What's that? Oh, that looks so cool. You know, this one's a white powder. That one looks like oregano, you know, that kind of thing. But the other thing was great. Sex. Yeah, we also had sex ed. That was, it was basically that. If you have sex, you'll get AIDS and or pregnant, and your life will be over forever. That'll be the end of your life. So
also,
just don't
Jesus
do it.
Also, Jesus won't love you. That was the other one.
You know, I was in a. You're not supposed to do that in public schools, but I was, like you said, in a small town.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of religious push in public school. Like we had to stand up and pledge our lives to the flag. We had to say, for a little while, we had to say a prayer in the cafeteria before a meal, which is wild to me in hindsight, right? Like this is not a private school. This is a public school in the woods in Florida. And it's like everybody has to say a Christian prayer before the meal. And it was just normal, right? And they would also beat the shit out of kids at class, in school if they got in trouble. They had like the wooden paddle with the holes in it for aerodynamics. It was a different world, man.
God.
Different world.
All right. So since we hit lunchtime,
yeah,
we're about halfway through the show.
Yeah,
you want to take a quick commercial break?
Yeah.
Refill your coffee.
That sounds like a great idea. Let's have some coffee, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about some stuff that's actually on Den that people have put on Den. Jacob Wayne had an idea for decentralizing time, which I think is sort of what Bitcoin did. Boring story there, maybe. But yeah, let me roll. Let me see what I got here. I got a collection of things in different languages. And they're all about a minute long. Let's go with, how do you feel about Portuguese, John? I have an English one. I'm going to do the English one. I just can't find it. Hang on.
Really just
here we go.
Drive.
I got it.
Yeah, that way we can drive I am and his kid crazy. Listen to this shit in Portuguese.
No, it's too late. I already got the tokenized rewards one. So here's a little thing about tokenized rewards. I'll be right back, y'all.
On social media platforms today, quality content often goes unnoticed. On Den, users get paid for the creation, evaluation, and curation of quality content. Content creators are rewarded based upon the engagement and reach of their post or comment. Content evaluators are rewarded based upon the speed and results of their predictions about which content will trend or go viral. Community owners are rewarded based on engagement within their community. On Den, quality content pays.
All right, and we're back. Well, I am anyway. Same advice on the coffee cup. Nothing's changed there. But let me bring up Den. And while John's still getting his drink there, let me just open a new tab and see what's recent. If you haven't used this website before, it is a social. What would I even call it accurately? It's a publishing platform. It's a decentralized, self-governed, censorship-resistant, advertising-free social publishing platform. Right? I'm sure there's an acronym there we could make. Shout out to Jay Sidmeyer. Had a newbie question about the price of matter. Thanks for checking out Den. It looks like there's a difference of opinion, actually. Hyperion Frequency sees it quoted at 13 cents. And Jay Sidmeyer saw it at 4 cents. I think it's 4 cents. That's what I usually see. What I usually do is go to Etherscan, and I'll look up the token out there on Ethereum. One of the things with Den is it can interact with any blockchain. Ethereum's the one that we use mostly, but we also use Bitcoin. So put in Matter, MTR. So they've got it at 4 cents. I think that's based on Uniswap v3. Anyway, it's on two different exchanges, and I think there's a different price depending on which exchange, which could be an opportunity for arbitrage. Buy this place, sell it the other, that kind of thing. And hey, look at that. We're over 1 million matter. There's only 1,000 matter per day.
And 69 holders. Oh, yeah.
69 holders on Ethereum. So this does not count anybody on Den. This only is people that have the tokens out on the Ethereum side. Cool. Right on. We made some merch from that. Have you seen the Million Matter merch?
No.
So Den is on the Dragon Chain blockchain network platform thing. So if you go to dragonchain.store, that's where our Den merch stuff is. Let's see here. Where would it be under? Special editions? Nope. Shop? Yep. This is the shopping hour, the home shopping network. Matter. MTR. Boom. Different colors. It's winter, so we got hoodies. And I insisted on making one that was a shirt pocket, not a circle thing. So vote for me, buy that one. What do you think? Circle or no circle? Shirt pocket or dead center? We were having a conversation about this in Den.Social. So this one's probably a little bit too far over, if I'm being honest, but it's more of a shirt pocket location, and it doesn't have the circle around it. versus in the middle, dead center, right? Like if you're wearing like if you're what's the guy's name for Marvel that has the thing, like the multiverses and stuff? Yeah, Dr. Man. Like if you had no, like it looks like if you should have it that's hanging off of a necklace, but there's no necklace. That's the location. My words aren't here. I need more coffee.
Oh, are you talking about Doctor Strange?
Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, with his amulet. All right, gotcha.
There we go. Boom, amulet. Looks like an amulet location or something, just floating there. And then there's the ones that have the circle around it. That's how it is on the website. But I think that's dumb. That's not. I'm just kidding. It's just not my preference. So what do you think? Circle, no circle, pocket, or center? What's your preference?
I think
John doesn't
people
care.
should buy. I think people should buy the coffee with Den ones. That's what I think.
Oh yeah. There's a coffee cup and a hat.
There's probably like 4 people that own these.
Yeah, it's a good logo.
I love it. Yeah, it's super cool.
But to answer that question, yeah, I think it's 4 cents on one of the platforms and 13 on the other. So welcome.
Wasn't it like 30 cents like 6 months ago or something?
It was like $1.50 at some point. It's gone. I think it started at 10 cents or something. And then it went up to $1.50 during the like the hype cycle where Ethereum was also really high and everything was mooning or whatever. And then everything has since like the US is really fucking a lot of stuff up right now. And one of those things is the cryptocurrency markets. And we happen to be a US crypto company based. So like, I don't know, there's a lot of things that come along with that. And one of them is that there's a lot of uncertainty and nobody knows what's going to happen. And so everybody's like sort of all the prices and everything have gone down across the board, I guess is what I was saying there. So yeah, welcome. Thanks for the question. But yeah, you're right. It was like $1.50, I think, at one point, which was great because I was like, man, I got so much money. And now it's like, oh, I can go grab a couple thousand. No big deal now, 4 cents, shoot. Which works for like if you want to do stuff on Den itself, that's actually pretty good for you because you can use it to buy layers and you can use it to buy like boost your content, to promote your content cheaper, basically. So just a word there. On the thing about time, are we getting rid of daylight savings time? Is that true?
That was the end. This one was the last one.
This is the last one?
Yeah, we're stuck at this shit now.
So this is going to be, well, that's good though, right? You think that's good? You think it's served its time, its usefulness?
Yeah. I think, yeah, daylight savings time is like, to begin with, I think it was always silly because I don't think changing things by an hour fixes problems. Like if a shop could just be like, hey, from this month to this month we open at 7, and from this month to this month we open at 8. Like you can just do that. You don't have to have a government system that says every, like, you know what I mean? Like shops could have just done that. Farmers could have still done that. Like we could have made these changes without having to do it as like a government policy. Also, I'm surprised that like it happened now.
Good morning, Hyro. Shout out to Hyro. Sorry, I'm interrupting you with a shout out.
You're good. I'm surprised that it happened now. Because it's been like trying to happen for so long, So it's cool that it's finally here. But
Hyperion Frequency,
he wants to trade some Cash App for some tokens. Baby.
Has a good point. Like it's completely up to you what you do with this stuff. You know what I mean? Like you could totally if you have a few friends in the same geographic location and you want to start just like using Matter as an IOU or something, you like tip me out some value, or if you want to buy it person to person, peer to peer, like local Bitcoins, that kind of thing, you can totally do that. Likewise, I've got a bunch of merch that I was thinking I could put up for sale, because right now you can't buy Den merch with Matter, but I've got a bunch of Den merch, and I could put them up for sale and accept Matter for it.
Doesn't that feel a little silly that you can't buy the company's product with their product, like with their money, like kind of like
It would be ideal, right?
yeah. That I feel like that's like a great way. Yeah, like what the fuck? Why can't we do that?
And then because then it's like you have this aspect of like you could treat it like an arcade. You earn points, and then you go to the register with your little tickets, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I want the wind up rubber band airplane and the, like, I don't know, bubble gum, whatever's left.
In this case, you can either cash out for merch, or you can cash out and buy a layer. Like if you hold up enough money, you can just own. You know what I mean? Like
you can do that now, so you can buy a layer with Matter.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like those are your options. Like
you can. So what can you do? You can buy a layer. Let me see if I can remember all the things you can do with Matter. Because I always say, like, my favorite cryptocurrencies are the things that have some utility other than just selling it. Yeah. So you can buy a layer. You can get a discount on your layer if you're going to buy it. You can even buy the LCP layers if it's in certain criteria. You can boost your posts, so you can advertise with it, basically. Fun fact, if your advertising goes over well, you get your money back, or at least 80% of it, which is kind of an incentive to not publish shitty ads. You can stake it to earn lore, which will give you voting rights and stuff in the LCP thing. You can add it as liquidity to the exchange, to Uniswap v3, which gives you governance voting, more voting rights in the Den.DAO governance decisions, so you can steer the ship. So that's 5 off the top of my head. So there's stuff. Can't buy a shirt with it yet, though.
You can brag to your friends about how much Matter you have.
Yeah.
You can use it as money in your Dungeons and Dragons campaigns. You can. I'm out of ideas. I'm still sleepy.
Well, that's this show. You know what I didn't expect? Back to the time thing. Now that we've talked about Matter for a minute, I didn't know that the time thing was going to be so political. Jacob Wayne has a comment about, I love the idea of decentralizing time. I don't know what it would spawn short term, but bring it on. It might disrupt the uniparty. And he goes on to talk about Trump and Andrew Yang and Tulsi Gabbard. And I was like, oh, I didn't expect that segue. I didn't know that time was such a political thing. But I guess it could be the politics of time. I was in Columbus, Georgia, and they're on a river, and right across the river is a different state in a different time zone. But nobody across the river uses their own time zone. They all use the Columbus or the Columbia, whatever the name of the city is. They use a different time zone just because, like, it's more convenient because they live next to the big city that does. So I don't know if that's an example of time being political, but there you have it.
No, I think time is like incredibly political. Just the nature of making it easier to buy and like sell things, like how you work within the rest of the world as well. Like I think so. Daylight savings time in the U.S. and in okay, cool. I just found out that not just found out, but I like at the same time every year I'm reminded that like the U.S. and the EU have different days for daylight savings time.
Yes.
When they go back. So like I feel like that's just like a big like I'm gonna swing my dick kind of thing. Like I'm not gonna be the one to change to your day, and you're not gonna be the one to change to my day. Like, like it's a show. The EU doesn't want to be like, oh, we're all gonna do what the US does, and the US doesn't want to do what other people do and make other people conform to us. So like,
yeah, it's kind of a shit show. So because of that, maybe that's getting rid of it could be the best option. Hyperion Frequency was asking if I was talking about Ohio. No, I was talking about this place right here in Georgia. So there's a pretty cool town here that says Phoenix City. Hold on. It's supposed to be Fort Benning. Where's Columbus, Georgia? Where is Walmart? There's Walmart. Is this Columbus? Where's the naming of the city on the map? Anyway, it's Alabama and Georgia. And I don't know what Phoenix City is, but it's in here somewhere. And right across the river, they all just say, no, we're going to use Georgia time, basically.
That's really funny.
But yeah, like what if some people just woke up at 1 a.m. because that was the start of their day, just because the whole world's on the same time? Let's take it a step further. Not only do we get rid of daylight savings time, but get rid of time zones. Why do we have time zones? You don't need time zones.
I think your time zones for like continuity of marketing, you know.
Do you though?
I feel like it. I think so. I think that's what it is.
Like,
because it's like you wake up at 7 a.m. It's like you need that commercial to be able to run in every time zone, or else it'd be like you wake up at 1 a.m. You wake up at 6 a.m. You wake up at 4 p.m. Like because everybody's fucking waking up at a different time.
So you're saying for the ease of picking a time of day that applies to everyone globally, like 7 a.m., no matter where you are, 7 a.m. is like the morning time.
Yeah, and then think about television. Every TV show, when the alarm clock hits 8 a.m. and they hit it and roll out of bed, that's going to be like, wait, what the hell? Like, it's not morning until fucking 9 p.m. Why are they waking up at 8 a.m.? Like,
I guess I wasn't thinking about marketing whenever I was considering getting rid of time zones. Marketing wasn't what was on my mind. I was more thinking of like when you watch TV and it's like, oh yeah, it's at 7, 6 Central. You know, it could just be at 7, and that's just what time it airs.
I think that would make sense. Like, I like that aspect of it, but it's just not going to make sense referentially when you talk to people that live in different time zones, because we're in like a global society. And also, I don't think it would ever happen because of how much it would affect like a marketing and entertainment industry. And like some of the biggest donors to political organizations is one, Hollywood, and two, like literally just like marketing and business industries that don't want that, you know. So the fact it'll just never become a priority because lobbyists.
Yeah.
You know?
Speaking of lobbying and stuff, I was reading that this year for the first time, the crypto lobby was as big or bigger than some of the bigger lobbies as far as donating to campaigns and things like that. And that had a big influence on, I would imagine that had an influence on the results, because I know that almost all of the crypto interests, right? The interest in surviving as an industry, almost all of that is pushing for the GOP to win seats. And it has nothing to do with anything other than the hard line that has been taken between Democrats and Republicans. Like on one side, it's like, no, crypto, blockchain, bad, it go away, overregulate, push, slow down. And on the other side, it's like, okay, you're allowed to exist. So I don't know. It's interesting to see results of elections and how that plays out. You want to look at the results real quick?
No, but okay.
Because I haven't.
I like the ignorance is bliss part of my.
Yeah, you're more of a cipher personality, more of a. Yeah.
I know what I can control, and that's not one of them. You know.
Here's a list. Yeah, here's a list. I don't know if it's right. It's from Politico. They're usually not. They're usually not. What's the word? They're not. They're okay, is what I'm trying to get at. So let's see. Are these? Yep, 98% in. So these were last night.
So Dr. Oz lost, thank God.
Okay, Fetterman. That one was interesting. I was like, I'm not in that state, so it's up to them who they get, you know. So I was interested to see how that goes. And I don't know a whole bunch about Fetterman, but apparently his brain works well enough to where it's not an issue after his stroke. So that's good to know. At least that's what the consensus is. I didn't know how that was going to affect. I didn't know how that was going to affect the outcome. You know what I mean?
He's still just better than Dr. Oz, though. So, all right.
I don't know enough about Dr. Oz. All I know is he had a TV show. He's a medical doctor, and he's running for politics. I never watched his show, so I don't know like what his shit's about. I guess I don't know.
He's also a crazy racist Trumpian. So,
is he? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I haven't been paying attention to Pennsylvania much. Georgia looks like it'll have a runoff, so we'll do that again. We still don't know. We probably won't know. I think
Herschel Walker was that close. All right.
Yeah. So it's pretty split nationwide. Everybody feels like it's not because they're in these bubbles that we like to create for ourselves, where most of the people we know agree with us. But it's pretty split down the middle. Arizona, I don't know what happened, but like, of course it was Arizona. There was some issue with voting machines where they had to send out text to fix something, and then they were like had to like temporarily use a Dropbox instead of the voting machine things. So that's probably going to be a shit show whenever all the accusations of voter fraud come out. Like, oh, we told you the machines are fakers. But it's an even split. It's kind of crazy to see. Or was it Nevada? Arizona or Nevada? I could be saying the wrong one, but it was one of those. I just was briefly watching it last night. Michigan, Wisconsin, New Hampshire are all in. And none of these, they're,
all
55-44, that kind of thing, it's pretty even split.
Well, those are
these are not.
Those
governor,
are very
yeah.
Those
certain districts. Yeah. Where's the big? They got a big map? Come on, Politico. Where's your big map? Where's your big overall thing? The House. So the House looks like it's going to go GOP.
Yeah.
Is what we're looking at. And then the Senate's probably going to not go GOP. There's still, maybe it will. But here's okay. So it's split, man. It's very split. Democrats lost their three, what do you call it? The three parts of government. They had all three parts for a couple of years there. But that's pretty common, right? Isn't it pretty common that whoever's in office does poorly in the midterms? From what I can remember.
Maybe. I don't know enough about midterm elections, honestly. I was
fair enough.
Yeah. The ones, I think like almost all of the elections I worked on were during presidential races, maybe. Oh,
there's a couple of good conspiracy theories in chat.
Oh yeah, like what?
Hyro said this was when we were still talking about time. Government uses time to control the masses like Charles Manson did to begin controlling his followers. You should flesh that one out and post it over in the conspiracy theory layer. See what kind of traction we can get. I think that layer should be used more.
Yeah, I don't see a one-to-one though. Like government definitely uses time to control the masses. It tells us when to work and when not to work, and when to do things and not do things. Yeah, I don't know if it's a evil controlling mechanism. I think it's more of a why we have roads so people don't drive on other people's lawns or run
what if it's a good conspiracy?
Yeah,
right? That's why I liked. Did you watch? Is it Michael Myers? Did you watch the Pentaverate TV show?
Yeah.
They had it's like the benevolent conspiracy theories, basically, like how to fix the world, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty good take. Yeah. And then the other one was most people are insane, delusional, mad. It's very easy to set up a population control. You wouldn't be much of a race. It wouldn't be much of a race if one side overall dominated. That's kind of a divide and conquer theory, which is effective. It's like the oldest trick in the book, right? Keep people fighting with their neighbors. What did I see? It was something about like distracting from a class warfare so that people don't get into class warfare, make sure that they just fight with themselves kind of thing. I think there's more I think there's more meat on the bone of that conspiracy theory than the time one, probably.
Well, I also don't think that one's a conspiracy. I don't think either one of those is a conspiracy theory. I think both of them are just true. Like
it's just reality.
Yeah, but that's just how, like, I don't know. Yeah, we use time to control people, just like we use sidewalks for pedestrians. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is the world we live in. This is how things work. This is how it's done.
And then the other one, shit. What was the other one again? Oh, fighting with your neighbors. Like, that's been a thing since, like, government, since, like, a bourgeoisie, like, aristocratic, like, kind of social classes existed. Like, that's always been a thing. So I don't think that's, like, a surprise. But here we are.
And all we can really do about it is go vote in this month's LCP.
Yeah, I'm glad you said this month's LCP and not for, like, you know, local elections. And all you can do is vote on some internet. Yeah, vote on some internet bullshit. Do that. That's all you can do.
Yeah, that's all we got going for us, man. Is our own little slice of the pie. This is our town, right? We do things the way we want. And if you want books to win, go vote for it. Looks like that's the most unique voters.
All right. So books are gonna win. Don't vote for it. Okay? Vote for somebody else.
I like books. Come on. I like books.
It's already gonna win. Like, let it win. Like, go vote for some other shit. You know, like, let your personality be heard in Den. Like, all right, selfies. Like, come on. Who doesn't want this dumbest layer ever? All right, so sorry. I think that's, like, first of all, I hate the word selfies. It's always just been like, no, you're just fucking taking a picture. It's not whatever.
It's too, to me, it's too close to, like, a quickie for me, you know? It's like, I'm gonna go knock out a selfie. I'll be back. Don't, you know, that kind. No, is that just me?
I gotta go take a selfie. Like,
yeah.
So so, like, I think that's, like, one. I think that's, like, silly, and it's, like, definitely at some point gonna win, though. Like, that's what I love about it too.
It keeps climbing. Yeah,
is that I'm wrong with my opinion, and I know that, but it's still my dumb opinion that I think the phrase selfies is silly. I think my
well, what else would you? But what if? Okay, what if you were like, you know what? Fuck books. I'm gonna vote. Obviously, I've got mine spread out in everything except for alpha. But what would you vote for instead? What would you push if you could just be like, I'm gonna push something else up there instead? What would you push up there?
Let's see. Star Wars.
Star Wars is a good one.
I think Digital Nomad could probably be cool if I remember what that is correctly. You know, I'd be like kind of psyched for
remote workers. There. Oh, I'm gonna echo now. Did you switch your mic?
Yeah. Oh, am I echoing?
I hear myself.
Okay. My batteries died on my headphones.
That's right. Hit me real quick. So this is actually the last thing that I wanted to go over today, which was that voting's open. And it's open for a week. If you look at the top, it has a countdown. So 5.5 days left to vote. You vote with lore that you earn just from using the platform and stuff. So if you have any amount of matter, then it'll automatically start generating lore for you. And you can use that to vote. And there's two categories: unique voters and most votes. So unique voters is just what it sounds like. It's ranked by how many unique people have voted, no matter how many lore points they've put in there. But in the lore section, we're going to pick number 5 and 13. Hyperion frequency, if you want the other numbers like 8 and 24 or something else, go throw that as a suggestion over in Den.Social. I know that you talked about that before. We need to get that vote up this month if we want it to apply to next month, basically. So This one will be, if it were to end right now, you would have the Bag Holders Unite layer, and you would have the vegan layer, right? So you can vote, and you can put stuff. You can put points in, and you can take them out. Like, for example, if I wanted to take out my share of the vegan layer, I could click this withdraw button somewhere. Here it is, and it'll take it out for me. Boom, and I can put it somewhere else. So you can see unique voters went down. So feel free. Even though these are Ethereum tokens that you're putting in and out, if they're over here on the Den side, there's no fees involved, so you can freely move them in and out of different layers all you want. I'll put this back in just because I don't mind veganism, and I wouldn't mind having a vote in that layer. So go check it out. Vote for stuff. 5 and 13, and then number 1 by unique voters. That's who's going to win.
I think the vegan layer honestly could be really cool. Just because, like, I'm not vegan by any means, but I think veganism can, like, give you other information. Like, one, if you're looking for, like, if you want, like, a leather feel, but you don't want to use leather because it's more expensive.
Oh, yeah, I always forget.
Layer.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I always forget about vegan not just being about diet, but being
Yeah.
about the things that you use, the items that you use, the sourcing of the materials and things like that. Yeah.
It's a lifestyle. If you want, also, like, if you, like, as people get older, some people become more sensitive to, like, gluten and lactose and stuff like that. Like, go to finding, like, vegan alternatives is going to be like, oh, I don't have to worry about dairy in my food.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, gluten is vegan, right?
well, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah,
certain,
but I
like,
see what you're saying.
things
Alternative
cross
foods
over.
and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, whenever I'm like, oh, I want to use cheese, but I don't want to use cheese, like, you can find, like, a cool vegan recipe.
Dude, I've tried a bunch of different types of not cheese. Every now and then, one of them works. Like, there's a place locally, Curia. They do all their stuff vegan.
Yeah.
And they've got the butteriest tasting, cheesiest stuff. Tastes fine. Doesn't taste like any kind of weird manufactured stuff that's trying to pretend to be cheese. They actually get it right. But I've had some shit that's like, it's like, why eat that? Why don't you just eat vegetables? Not something that's trying to be the thing that you're giving up. You know, it's just tasted bad. But that's
Boca does a good one, and then so does Crybabies in town. They have a really good vegan cheese. Also, did you see Madrina's is closing?
I did see that. Yeah. So Madrina's is a local cocktail bar. They've been open for like 4 years or something.
Longer than that, but it's like craft. It's like craft cocktails.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been watching this
so-
new TV show called Dr. Ink Masters, where instead of tattoo artists, it's a bunch of people making drinks and cocktails and stuff. And
wait, did you call it Dr. Drink Master?
No, Dr. Ink Master. It's like Ink Masters, but with drink. It was a stupid joke. They put a DR in front of Ink Masters. It's the same format. It's the same format altogether. And so it's called Drink Masters, and it's on Netflix.
I've seen it. Dakota and I watched the whole thing. I didn't.
Yeah, it's cool.
The show. I didn't like it.
I thought it was ridiculous that they got an hour and a half to make a drink. First of all.
So that's not crazy, and I'll tell you why. It's because it's like in baking shows.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, you can bake something in 20 minutes. You have to let it cool for 15, 20 minutes in the fridge. So, like, they're making their own simple syrup.
Yeah.
Well, to do that,
they don't have the benefit of, like,
yeah,
all the prep work being done pre-opening.
Yeah. So they're essentially having to cook all of the things that would go into their drink before. If you think about, like, their garnishes, like, they've got to make their fucking garnishes and do all that stuff. They were, like, baking and making food as, like, people were making ice cream and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, ice cream, and I saw, like, some like pie crust stuffs and things like that.
There's some really cool stuff they were doing.
Yeah, I thought the judges kind of, like, I don't know, wimped out when they wouldn't eat they wouldn't drink the one that had the dry ice in it just because it might kill them.
I kind of I like what they did too with him, though. They were just like, we're not going to drink it, but we're also, like, not kicking you out. Like, there was a way for him to, like, you can easily not be the worst person, like, unless you're bad.
Yeah, a couple of people did that strategically. They were just like, we're going to play it safe. They're not going to like this, but they're not going to hate it. So I'm going to stay in the round, that kind of thing.
I like that. So just like a little spoiler for y'all, that'll make you happy. The first person to get kicked out is the fucking Instagram cocktail person.
I saw that too.
Oh,
Yeah.
that made me so happy.
I was
It's
like,
like-
oh, you're admittedly not a professional, like you're a LARP.
Yeah.
And I hate to like throw shade because I'm sure she seems like a nice person and has a good thing going, got her own Instagram influencer business thing, awesome. But like you just threw down with a bunch of people that like it's a different thing to me. I don't know.
Yeah, she takes pretty pictures of drinks. They don't have to taste good. Like
That's fair.
So yeah, she's a beautician. Like and even admittedly, she's like, I make simple drinks. I'm like, yeah, like simple drinks are good and fine, but you gotta do them in a high end way now. So good luck. And yeah.
You got to do them in a way that somebody paying $18 for a fucking cocktail is going to get it and be like, this is a nice experience. This is worth it. I'm glad I did this. That kind of thing. And that's a lot. But cocktails are not cheap.
I think she uses her personality to make the drinks taste better. Like, those people that are like, I don't get it. It's whatever I just had was more enjoyable because of like your enthusiasm. Kind of like wine. When they're like, oh, like, here's a bottle of wine you drink. It's like, oh, that's nice. And then like the sommelier like explains the intricacies of the region and the wine and like it tells you about the person who makes it and their daughter and how this wine's a relationship between the two of them and like all this other shit. Like, okay, great. I can feel and know and understand that more.
I've been getting into, I know this is like years too late, but I've been getting into reaction videos lately for the first time. But like from professionals that have like experience and repertoire, like breaking down some stuff. So I've been watching this one called The Charismatic Voice. She's I guess a voice coach or something. And she's been listening to stuff like Korn and System of a Down and like, all this stuff that I used to listen to in high school. So it's been like I don't know, it's been very nostalgic, just like having somebody listen to shit for the first time that I used to nerd out on a lot. But it's exactly what you were talking about, where somebody is like, breaking something down and telling you what she enjoys about it so much. And she's an overactor. She's kind of like way too, she's definitely acting a part, the impressed, like, oh my gosh, because she knows that people are watching them because it's their favorite song or whatever, right? So she totally like plays that up. But it's interesting to me anyway.
You have to be a showman, but there's also people that are just like, I don't know, man. I've met people that are like that. And when I tell them something's cool and they're like, holy shit, that's awesome. Like, you're full of shit. And they're like, no, they're just, It's like, I'm not that cool. And they're like, oh my God. I'm like, they're just
she'll hear something like that's interesting. And instead of just being like, oh, that's interesting, like the appropriate amount of reaction, I feel like she's just like, oh, and she'll pause it, and she'll back up and like, like do the whole thing. Like, oh my God, it's the most like, it's out of tune. Actually, it's not great, but it's interesting.
I love it though, man. I love it. I love that personality because that's how like, imagine like you're seeing everything with a child's eyes, man.
Yeah,
like, that's what people meditate for. That shit right there. So yeah,
some people want to live theatrically, and that's fine. Yeah, I binge watch it. Like, I'm not knocking it. I think she's fantastic. I think she's great. I think she's an overactor, but I watch Jim Carrey too, and he's an overacting motherfucker. But I love his work. I love his content, and I like hers a lot too.
The world's a stage, We
are. I was playing Cyberpunk. I think I said this a couple episodes ago. We are who we pretend to be. It was one of the themes in one of the quests in there.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, look, man. I want to roll out and get some more coffee and do other stuff. But real quick, I just want to make sure that this is brought up.
Yeah, let's bring it up.
And so December, that is sometimes like matter of fact. Let's do this. Let's bring it up. December theme suggestions for World Blockchain Roundtable. If you don't know, this is where you decide what people talk about on the Thursday World Blockchain Roundtable show thing. You were on there once, John. We got to get you back on.
It was great, yeah.
If you got something that you want to throw in to the hat, they get voted on in this thread. This is over in the World Blockchain Roundtable lair. So if you click on layers and you go scroll down towards the bottom, it's under W for world. And you can put in some suggestions. IAM's got one in there. What would you do with $50 million? What would Santa use blockchain for? Right? Some suggestions. How many layer ones can actually be impactful and used? Great question. I was talking about Solana this morning. And little friendly debate about whether it's, worth having around or not. A lot of people have a lot of money in it, but I'm not sure if I think it's necessarily a useful layer one. So that's, if you like to hear that kind of debate, vote on that question. Juicy J has one for the role of the architect. Can design services be tokenized or distributed through smart contracts? What's the extent of blockchain and metaverse in a space for real world designers? I like that one. Like, how can this shit be used in a meaningful way besides just like people who nerd out about it talking? Sometimes I feel like metal fans talking about different genres of metal and different things in music, like prog rock and stuff, where it's like people who aren't like really into that don't care. So that's a good question of how can it be used in the, quote, real world. Insurance for the mobile generation. Yeah, I think the insurance sector is ripe for disruption. Like, there should even be not-for-profit. Maybe there are insurance groups out there, but blockchain can gut the insurance company if we wanted it to.
The reason why I don't think there will ever be not-for-profit insurance companies is, one, there are like state insurance companies which are, supposed to be hypothetically super like kind of not-for-profit, but because insurance companies have insurance companies.
Yes, they do.
So like those people are the like Berkshire Hathaway, which is Warren Buffett, that they're like a big reinsurer. Like, those are the people that are investing in insurance companies, and I don't think they're ever going to invest in something that's not for profit. So you gotta it's just not going to ever happen that way.
Well, if not, then you still have the ability to bring in, capitalism though. I don't know if you could bring costs down. Like, you could bring costs down for the insurance company. You could use, like, specifically with the question that was posed there, you could use blockchain to remove most of the fraud, and you could streamline, like, for example, you could streamline payouts, when somebody does qualify for it. But then at the same time, I don't know if companies want to streamline payouts, because the longer they hold it in the bank before paying it out, the more interest they get while they're holding it. So there's a lot of, there's a lot in there.
And the other, and I guess, like, actually, so if that topic comes up, I'd be interested in, like, probably,
right.
I think I'd be able to actually contribute to that.
Cool.
I used to work in insurance, so for people listening.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Cool.
I worked for an insurance company.
If you want T Swift or Die to come back on another World Blockchain Roundtable, make this say something other than 0 on the voting thing over there.
Dave's like, I'm not going to.
What? No, I think that's a good idea. I'll give it at least. I don't like to vote on things.
Well, I was joking.
On screen or something, because I could be like, hey, but like, this is supposed to be the community saying what we talk about, not us saying their suggestions. I'll give it a 1. I'll give it a 2. I'll give it a 337. How's that? That's pretty good. I
was like, you're part of the community. You have a say,
I am. And these are all good tags. So I'll go vote on the others later. If capitalism was real, then these businesses and companies would die and innovation wouldn't be stifled. I couldn't agree more with that, Hyperion Frequency. I think that capitalism is free markets don't exist today. That's what I'll say. whether you're for or against capitalism and free markets, I don't think free markets exist today.
Except for a farmer's market.
Hey. No, I think monopolies have a hard time existing in a free market, and one of the things that keeps monopolies around is government, which sucks. It's kind of the opposite of what they're supposed to do.
Yeah,
but
because I run around with that 5-finger discount.
Sticky hands, John over here.
It's a free market, boys.
It's a free market.
Go.
All right. Well, speaking of stealing things because nobody can afford shit anymore, I'm not sure that's the reason. Maybe you just like to steal stuff. Yeah, that's not a good segue. I was just going to end the show, so I think we're done here for today.
I think that's just what you say now. It's like, all right, that was good. Yeah. If you want to chat for a couple minutes after the show, I'll hang out. If you have a second.
Yeah, that sounds good. Hyro, Hyperion Frequency. I am. If you're still doing the high school thing, thanks for joining. Thanks to Jacob Wayne, who looks like is gonna throw up another video of just using Den and how it works and stuff. So thanks for that. Nice. Go vote in the LCP. You got 5 days to do it. You get more lore every day. So if you look at your payouts, which reminds me, I still got to make sure that's working right. Pretty sure it is. Maybe not. I haven't looked into it yet. Sorry about that. What else? There was... That's it for now. Yeah. Go write something cool on Den. Throw an opinion up in the politics layer about the elections. People love to argue about politics. And other than that, yeah, have a good day. See you next Wednesday. Bye.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best. Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. A doctrinal approach is palpable if this animal is fallible. But that conclusion is laughable, so with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now?